Dallas Mavericks. Okay, here's another championship contender, and I think they're going to go overlooked until about the All-Star break, and everyone's going to be like, holy shit, they have what? They have, that many wins at the All-Star break? Holy cow, who would have known? But they picked up some very important pieces. I mean, they already had a lot of them, just by virtue of having Dirk and who else? Really Dirk. I mean, having Dirk and then Rick Carlisle as the coach. The Mavs are a team that are built probably how I would build them because they don't put a high priority on low post scoring. They want their bigs to play defense. So last year they played Brandon Wright, and I can't remember who else they had at center. Bernard James a little bit. I can't remember who played center most of the time. Anyway, doesn't matter. This year though, I mean, they're back to championship contention because they brought back Tyson Chandler, who I wrote an article on about last year, about how so many experts complain about defense being as important, if not more important, than offense, and yet when Tyson Chandler got injured last year and the Knicks sucked, everyone's like, I don't get it, why do the Knicks suck? Well, they sucked in large part because they were missing one of the top 5 defensive players in the entire league, and not only one of the top 5, I mean at the most important position on the basketball court. It's really interesting to think what the Knicks may have done if they had their full complement of players, especially with the way Woodson seemed to be utilized. He did a really good job in my opinion. So now we'll get to see what the Mavs are like with Tyson Chandler at center, back like they were back in 11 and 12, I think it was, or 12, 13. And so they have the Mavs. They have number one. They have the defensive center who not only can challenge shots, which is number one, but what makes Chandler unique, along with Dwight Howard and I can't think of anyone else right now. Most bigs, you have to decide. Do you want the guy who can block shots or the guy who can move his feet and guard the pick and roll? Tyson Chandler, Dwight Howard, they have the ability to come up, hedge, guard a pick and roll, and yet recover and make plays at the hoop. Now that just creates such a nightmare for opposing offenses because usually on offense you try to take advantage of one of those weaknesses. With a guy like Chandler, you don't really have those weaknesses. The second part, in my opinion, to a great basketball team is point guard play. And the Mavs went out and they filled that perfectly. They went out and got Jameer Nelson, and they still have Devin Harris. They picked up Raymond Felton. So they have 3 legitimate guys who can get their team into the set properly. All 3 of those guys know how to run a team and get them. They play with pace and they play with rhythm. They can get the team to play in rhythm offensively. Then they went out and they picked up Chandler Parsons, who's just a cherry on top because, of course, ideally you'd love to have a guy like Chandler Parsons. But in my mind, based on what they have on the rest of the team and having Dirk, Chandler Parsons is a luxury. But adding him to the team just adds a whole different dynamic because he's not shooting a floor-spacing 3. He can get his off the dribble. He creates all sorts of other matchup problems. So, like I was saying earlier with the Hawks, or before with the Hawks go very deep. And although they aren't extremely talented, their team's set up to be able to create mismatches through different lineups because they have so many interchangeable players. The Mavericks are the same, except they're like an all-star team. They're just unbelievable. I really think that they have to be considered one of the top favorites for the championship. They're just so well built. So it'll be very exciting to watch the Mavericks this year. And no matter who Rick Carlisle coaches, they probably have a chance. But this team especially looks built for the long haul.